So let us examine Eli's legacy, who he was, what he really cared about. Everybody knows Eli was born in Germany, into the historical Jewish community of Frankfurt on Main, and he was very proud of that. So he said he came from a family of 1,000 years of Rabbanim, Mamish, a very chashuva family of Rabbanim. He was, I believe, 2 years old, and clouds of destruction were gathering over Europe. His grandfather was the Rav and the leader of his community. He sent away his son, Eli's father, and his family to America. But his grandfather, who presumably had the wherewithal, he certainly had the vision, he didn't go, because he had a tremendous sense of achrayus, of responsibility, and he wasn't going to leave his kehila behind. So I heard more during the Shiva that he had like a secret shul in Theresienstadt, and he was an artist, and he depicted a picture of a classical shul there. A very special man, a leader. These are brilliant minds. Eli himself was a very gifted individual. His father was a rabbiner, professor, Dr. Rabbiner. They were professors and rabbanim. I understand his father's, his doctorate was on the Jewish calendar, the Chokmas Haluach HaIvri, a very deep subject, which takes a great mathematical mind, like Eli also had. So he came as a very young boy to America. He grew up in Washington Heights, the German Jewish community of Breuers, and its customs and its kedusha stayed with him as his Girsad Yankasa. That's what Eli always, you know, when we would find something funny in the Shulchan Aruch, he said, "That's not the German minhag. This isn't what we do." I got to ask my cousin if he ever heard of this, because he had a sense that there's a certain way, and if this doesn't ring right with me, there's a problem. And he wasn't shy about it. He was outspoken in his defense that the Torah has to be logical, and you got to understand it. And he was fire and brimstone about that, and we all know that no holds barred, because the Torah must make sense, and that's a right attitude. The Torah isn't stam, who cares, whatever. Eli had none of that. It was his neshama, and I'm gonna get it, and I'll ask you again, and I'll fight again, because it's got to make sense. And it's the will of God. And he used to talk about in his way how Klal Yisrael is so special. He'd always say, "I don't think the Pope cares about this. No other religion would care about all this stuff. But we're Yidden, we're Klal Yisrael, and we know the importance of the little things." And it was all important to him. Eli lost his father at a very young age. He was, I think, in 8th grade. But he was never bitter. I really feel Eli didn't have a philosophical bone in him. He was a very brilliant man, but he was an engineer. And he was into how things worked. He could take his car apart and fix it, and with computers and everything. He was a doer, and with his mind in his hands. But he never asked, why me? Why was I orphaned? Why did I suffer with this illness? He suffered most of his life. Physically, first from colitis, later arthritis, ultimately cancer. He never complained of his pains, or he never entertained self-pitying questions. Why me? Never heard such a thing. He dealt with his medical issues the best he could, continuing all the while to serve Hashem and men the best way he knew how. You could depend on him to a unique degree. Eli had a gifted intellect. He used it as a professor to educate others. He was what they called Tikkun Olam, taught Jews and non-Jews to help them go on. He was at like a junior college. They would go on to other colleges. He had hundreds of students directly, and he published about a dozen textbooks in which he shared his know-how with a wider audience. Eli had a cute sense of humor, and he was proud of the way he proposed to Sandy by publicly inducting her to be his wife at the graduation ceremony of Phi Beta Kappa at college. He used to tell us that. Eli was very grateful to have found such a patient and faithful partner. He more than once expressed his gratitude for all that she did for him, and for her quiet in the moments when he expressed his not-so-subtle displeasure with the fallacies of the world. Eli often told me that he would never have guessed that he would spend so much time in Beis Midrash. Most of his life, he was a professor and writing books. He would stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning and then get up at 10 and go to work. He had his own schedule. And he went to shul every Shabbos, and he was makpid on dinim that he was makpid, but that he would be a shul yid, and that he would be zaken yoshev b'yeshiva, which is what he was. It's what he did for the past 12 years that we've been together. He learned every day, and he learned a lot. And when he was at home, he relaxed. He wasn't so well in the afternoons. He would sit. He would come back with a kasha the next day. He was thinking about his learning all the time. So he told me that this, he never would have thought such a thing. But when they came to Nofei Aviv, they made Aliyah, Baruch Hashem. The whole family is here. His sons are here. His grandchildren are here. His sister and brother-in-law are here with their children. Talked a lot of times about his nieces and nephews here. And he has Teimanim in the family. I know he would tell us Kitnius was one of Eli's big issues. So when they came to Nofei Aviv, there was no shul. He and Sandy did not hesitate to offer their home to serve as the shul. The Berlinger Minyan, it still has the name. Their house was a shul. When the community Zev organized the koilel, Eli was there the first day, and he just never stopped coming. He took it, he adopted it, and he sort of became the boss. I mean, there was a certain veto power that Eli had over the activities of the koilel, because he had Eli's way. He became a key member. He took responsibility, the tables and the chairs, and he was ever watchful as the intellectual watchdog of the integrity of the material. I certainly had my pachad of Eli, and knowing what I could say, what I could get away with, what I couldn't get away with. It was something to be taken into consideration, both in the curriculum and in how things went, and it was an issue. There was a period years ago, before we built the shul here, that we learned in a place called Shalei Torah, and there was a koilel of Israeli Avreichim, young guys, Avreichim, good guys. And they were not even English speakers per se. How much English they knew, very limited. And we sat in the corner, and it sometimes got a little bit loud by us. And I had occasion, I would have one of them in my car or something, and they told me, we love that old guy with the white hair, because he really cares about the Torah, and he screams about it, and it's the rischa deoraisa. It's the pulsating blood of the Torah that's going through his veins. And so when he gets all excited about the Torah, and he's adamant about understanding his way, they appreciated that in the right way, that it was a passion for emes, and Eli had a passion for the emes. It's incumbent upon all of us to be passionate about the emes. We say in Aleinu L'Shabeach, V'yadata Yom V'hashevoise Alevavecha. So there's a yediyah, and there's a hashevoise Alevavecha. There's yediyah, which is in the mind.